With a 46% pullback, the month of September has been incredibly unkind to Vechain. With that being said though, this is a fantastic opportunity in my opinion to see some pretty good buy the dip scenarios. Guys, in this video I'm going to dive down into the technical analysis of Vechain to see exactly what has been going on most recently and what we might expect to happen next. Guys, if you find this useful and informative, hit the like button, I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. Right, with that said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down into this technical analysis on Vechain. So we're going to start things off with this weekly chart, guys. I want to highlight a couple of fantastic things that have happened already and where things are likely to go next. Okay, so with this weekly chart, we can see that things started back in March of 2020 when we had a big crypto crash along with the stock market. This week really did bring us down to some incredibly low levels and kick-started a fantastic wave 1 scenario. The wave 1 scenario peaked out for Vechain up in August and before we went into a second wave correction. This correction lasted until the end of 2020, around November time, and then really spiked up in the new year for wave 3 to peak out in April of 2021. Now, taking our starting position and our peak of wave 3, that was a 399-day move that took or gained or left us with gains of 18,295% overall. Okay, so a pretty lucrative move has been made here. And when we compare this to a few other projects, such as Bitcoin, for example, the same time period was only 1,600. We take a look at Ethereum, it was 5,000. So when you take a look at Vechain in that kind of light, it's just hard to argue that it hasn't performed well. It's been one of the best performers in the portfolio. There's only been a few other altcoins that have outperformed in our portfolio, such as Matic with 42,000 and Anchor at 34,000, for example. So we do know that Vechain's been a very good performer, outperformed Bitcoin massively, and it's even outperformed things like XRP, ADA, and a few others as well, like Ethereum as well. So ultimately, it's performing very, very well. Now, we obviously did, from the peak of wave 3, come back down into a fourth wave correction. Again, this is very natural, and we did bottom this out quite early on. And again, that is the expectation. When you have a flat wave 2, you have a very sharp wave 4. So we can actually see that the bottomed out with Vechain very early on. This actually happened back in May, right? So we peaked in April, we bottomed wave 4 in May. The expectations wouldn't be to go any lower than that because, again, that would have been a flat wave 4 if it were to now go down lower than what we had over here, and wave 2 should have been sharp. Okay, so for Elliott theory to hold up, there are several rules that we have to apply. One is wave 4 cannot go lower than wave 1, and if wave 2 was flat, then wave 4 has to be sharp, and if wave 4 is flat, then wave 2 would have had to have been sharp. Okay, so the fact that wave 2 was flat meant that wave 4 was going to be sharp, and therefore ergo, this should be the bottom of what we've seen so far when it comes to the bottom of our wave 4. Okay, so although there's a pullback here, this is again a mixture of a couple of things. We have Bitcoin pulling back, getting manipulated a little bit there, trying to shake retail investors out. And then you also have what's going on in China, also shaking the markets all around the world, right? So again, not a black swan event. I don't think that's really the right terminology for it, but an event that has kind of shaken the stock market a little bit and obviously shaken out some money out of the retailers out of the crypto space, right? So overall, a 46% pullback has happened. Now, is that unnatural in the space? No. I mean, we can take a look at the third wave up to the impulse waves to the upside here, and we can actually take a look. Okay, well, there's a couple of scenarios just here where we actually drop down 44% right here, right? And we'll still continue in that push to the upside. Was that the bear market? No. Is this a bear market? No. So we take a look, and there's multiple scenarios where we can see these corrections that happen and occur before you peak out, right? Over here, over here, over here, and over here. So this, again, is a pullback that is both natural and unnatural in its nature. And again, the month of September is always historically a pullback month. We could take a look at where we were in September last year, for example, right? We've actually pulled back quite significantly in that time period. Now, this actually coincided with our correction wave, but in the month of September, we lost 51%. Okay, so again, it's not unnatural to see this occur and actually allows us to buy the dip ahead of where we are going. So overall, things are going to be heating up. Our target hasn't changed. We are now from the current position to our $1.01 area, 997% gains away. So right now, that's a significant push. So again, an opportunity to dollar cost average, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor, so it's important that you do your own research. But Vechain, for me personally, is one of the strongest projects out there. It has so many integrations with large enterprises around the world. PwC, DNVGL, Walmart China, H&M, BMW, Renault, No Seafood. The list goes on and on and on. Loads of luxury brands use it for their supply chain. You have Bayer using it for their pharmaceutical supply chain. You have it integrating with the Chinese government and doing lots of different fantastic things around the world. We've got governmental contracts for passports and all sorts of various different use cases. Vechain is one of those solid projects that I can rest easy knowing that it isn't going to disappear overnight. And I do think that this project should be a top 10 cryptocurrency with the amount of real-world adoption that it has. And I do think it's only a matter of time until it gets its recognition that it deserves. Overall, these opportunities to buy Vechain at less than 10 cents, they don't come around very often. And I do think that this is a fantastic opportunity to be buying it up once again. Obviously, to be fair, I was buying it up when it was way down here, when it was lower than 1 cent. So I have seen some fantastic gains in my portfolio. And that's why you should pay attention to us in the bear market, where we call out these new projects, these hidden gems, when they are significantly cheaper than where they are today. And as a result, your portfolio will be thanking you for it. So overall, we are looking to go and move a Vechain up to $1. That would put this thing at just over a 10x now on this current position, and it's something I do think we are likely to see by the end of this bull run. So let's jump down into our daily view, and the daily view allows us to take a little bit of a deeper look as to what is going on. Here you can see that 46% pull back. We can see that we have got a green candle right now on the bounce to the upside. We are of course oversold, quite heavily so, and we are looking to push this up on the daily. Now ultimately there was a move like this that we saw earlier on, and this basically took us into the overbought area where we're pretty much up there from, I think it was like the end of July through to about mid-August before we started to lose some momentum in the middle here. And then, down here, we've been down in the oversold area from pretty much most of September. And I think that's going to continue for the rest of September. Once we're out of September, we're going to go into October in a really strong way, I do believe. Bitcoin should be targeting at about 60K in October. So that would be allowing things like Vechain to grow naturally back to the upside and hopefully set some new all-time highs on that journey as well. So overall, I'm very confident in what is going on long term, but obviously we have to accept that there's going to be some short-term volatility, and it's that volatility that gives us the opportunities. Okay, so we can see obviously this 46% pull back, and we can see a bit of a push back to the upside. This is an area that we were thinking it was going to be an interesting buy zone. We actually crashed all the way through it, which was quite interesting in itself, but there was an opportunity here to buy it up, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the advice.io dashboard. We're going to load up Vechain. We're going to take a look at the underlying data for Vechain and see whether or not there's an issue or not. Here we can see that Vechain has a C1 rating overall. And we can see that the fear and greed index of Vechain is in extreme fear. There's a lot of fear up for sale right now, and that's an interesting tell. But we can see that we are actually on a bit of a rate of recovery. We haven't gained much momentum, but there's momentum being gained right now. The 𝗕𝗓 ratio is your liquidity. This is showing us a C2 rating, so liquidity has become a problem for Vechain as well. The Sharpe ratio has dipped below our 50-day average, and again, this is now in that rating of D, so the risk-reward ratio is not in our favor right now. The moving average is a rating of D, so again, when we drop down 46% in a month, then yes, your moving averages are going to be affected, and that's quite clear to see. But your profitability is still the best it can be, an A1 rating, so that's looking pretty good. So overall, for me, knowing the underlying data is incredibly useful. It allows me to know that there is fear in the space, fear that I could be buying up. It allows me to know that there is some liquidity-related issues, so I should be concerned about whether or not I'm going to be able to fulfill my orders based on that liquidity. And also, are you actually able to sell under these liquidity streams? The risk-reward ratio. Now, this is an interesting one because the risk-to-reward ratio is a key metric that you want to be paying attention to. What is the risk of holding VET over the rewards of holding VET? Now, obviously, taking this in isolation would be, quite dangerous in itself to say, no, I shouldn't be holding my VET right now because the risk reward ratio isn't quite right. It's not stacked in my favor. At the same time, though, couple this with the charts, and I actually see the opposite. I say that actually there's a lot of fear in the space. I know I'm pushing up into a fifth wave to the upside. I have a good target of the bull run heading towards $1, that actually this is the kind of fear that I do want to buy. And therefore my exposure to and risk to holding VET is something that I am willing to take on and to accept. And so obviously this is something that each individual investor will have to do. Obviously, not as a financial advisor, I cannot make those decisions for anyone. But ultimately for me personally, I'm continuing to hold VET. I haven't sold any of my Vechain yet. And this is just an opportunity to continue to buy up some Vechain in these kind of situations, in my opinion. So obviously knowing that underlying data, knowing how the artificial intelligence and machine learning has analyzed it and kind of come back to a conclusion, it's good to know that and obviously act upon it. Now, for the most part, it would actually be quite concerning, but I think that Vechain and everything else that's going on is actually okay, and it's an acceptable risk that I am willing to take. So when we jump down into our hourly, this allows us then to take a look at what's going on most recently and what we might expect to see happen next. Now, obviously, you can see that fear in the space for Vechain has been hitting VET holders hard. Lots of selling has been going on, and we did start to kind of find a bit of a bottom just here, and there's a downward trend that you can kind of see just in here. If I just move that on, right, so we can see that there's definitely a downward trend to this area, but it is a good support level at 8.3 cent. So if we are looking to pull back, which I do anticipate us doing, then I am expecting us to pull down to 8.3 cent. Okay, that would be in line with this area of our trend line. Okay, and now we are up in the overbought area, so we are and we should be expecting a pullback. Okay, so we should be looking to just push up for the next hour or two, and then we should look to pull back down. And my expectations are that we are going to pull down to 8.3 cent. That should then bottom us out into the oversold area, where we will then get a bounce to the upside. And this is the key area for us, and whether or not this is actually going to then carry us up higher. Okay, because there is of course a downward trend that we need to acknowledge over here as well. Okay, so overall we are looking to try to work our way through this. We are not likely to pierce through any of this stuff considering our position here on the stochastic. So the expectation should be that we'd fall down, and then we'll look to come back up. Now, the thing that we'll be looking for will be to basically try to push our way above this area. I'm going to pull this down to our 8.3 cent. So what we'll look for here is basically a triangular wedge to get formed for September, and we'll look for that break. Now, obviously, at the moment, that sentiment is not quite there. If we throw the volume on, for example, we can see that the price was pushing down and the volumes were pushing up. As the price was pushing up, the volumes were dropping down. That's indicating that extreme fear that the artificial intelligence is picking up on, as in there's more people willing to sell than there are willing to buy. Okay, so overall that allows us downward trend to occur. Okay, the downward trend will continue if that is what the sentiment is in the market. Overall, once Bitcoin gets its reversal and actually goes to the upside overall, Vechain will follow suit and get that break to the upside. The problem that we have is for the month of September, we are most likely going to start seeing this sideways trading occurring here for quite some time. And once we get into October, I do think we are likely to see that surge to the upside overall. Of course, we are expecting volatility on the smaller time frames, but as a retail investor, paying attention to the smaller time frame could be quite worrying. It's usually better to kind of zoom out if you are ever in doubt. Take a look at the daily, take a look at the weekly, and take a look at the structure of where things are going and where things have been. Take a look at what's happened in the past. Is a 46% move unusual? No, it is not. It is something that's happened multiple times over. And, ultimately, are you going to be shaken out? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to be shaken out of your market? Are you going to sell your Vechain at a discounted rate? Or are you actually going to hodl your way through and see this bull run to the end? Guys, I'm going to leave this video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.